What is up, humans of the cardboard? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we are looking at some pretty sweet news. We've got an OCG ban list, and yes, I know this doesn't really exactly affect us, but it could give us some hints as to some of the stuff we could end up seeing for our ban list, because we've got one that's about 5 weeks away, just over a month away, which is really cool. So this definitely is something interesting, and they did some cool things here. So let's just get into it. I mean, let's just skim through it. There's not a ton of hits, but there are definitely some meta game changing ones. So first off here, we see that Fusion Destiny goes straight from unlimited to banned, straight to banned. That is pretty big, for sure. I mean, like, here's the thing, right? I believe they still have Verte Anaconda in the OCG, right? I think they have Verte because they just banned Dragoon instead of doing like Red Eyes Fusion or Verte. So even if you put this card to 1, you just lose 2 copies of like the ability to hard draw it, and then you still have Verte and the 1 copy itself. So you really don't lose out on too much there. You just need to fill 2 slots in your deck. But banning it means it's pretty much unusable as a splashable engine, which I kind of like. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like. One thing to note here is, like, I kind of like this move, and I mean, I like this move because this Fusion or Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer is still a makeable card, actually quite easily, in Heroes. A lot of their combos, when they do their combos, they don't even go through Fusion Destiny because their deck doesn't really search it out unless you're going through a line that uses Verte or hard drawing Fusion Destiny. You're actually using the polymerization search, I believe, more often than not, off of Vision Hero Vion to actually end up making the Enforcer. So that's cool. I mean, it's cool that like that deck can still take advantage of it because it's part of that archetype. But I like that it's not so easily splashable. I mean, we're really early into our new format with DPE, and that card is everywhere. If your deck can afford it and it's not too bricky, playing like the 2 bricks and like the locking you out of stuff isn't too restrictive, or your deck doesn't lock you out of using it, you probably play it if you want to make your deck more competitive. And it's kind of crazy. It's just everywhere. So really cool. Like, that's crazy that like this feels really early for them to just ban it straight up, but still playable in Heroes. So there. Moving on here, we have our limited section where we see Torn Scales go from 3 to 1. Very interesting. I mean, this is one of, if not like the best Phantom Knight monster, at least for the main deck. Rusty Barty's still pretty, or not Rusty. Yeah, Rusty Barty's still insane. But this card's insane. Like, it's an extender. It is your best normal summon at the same time. This card is crazy, and especially with like the Brave Token archetype or engine being splashed in here, like, definitely, this is one of those things because he can be sent to the graveyard, then summon himself back as an extender, and then because he's not using his effect after being normal, you can still go through all the Brave Token stuff. So this deck seems to be really malleable. We've seen this deck do multiple different things in multiple different ways and still be meta relevant. But some big hits here. Fusion Destiny leaving the deck definitely hurts. It's Torn Scales going to 1 definitely hurts, and you'll actually see there's more stuff on here. We also see Prank Kids, Meow Meow Mew, going from 3 to 1. This is another hit that they never experienced, really. They never had Prank Kids get hit like we did in our format. So I think it just makes sense with the Brave Token stuff. They got like a nice buff, and so now by limiting the Prank Kid side of it a little bit, it makes it a little more balanced with the Brave Token stuff. And then the last one is Crossout Designator going from 3 to 1. Very interesting. I don't know what they have called by the Greybat in the OCG, but this is interesting to me. Dropping it down to 1, I'm sure it saw pretty heavy play. I don't know. It's kind of weird because I feel like right now for the TCG, a lot of players are on like the same agreement that like this card is like so hit or miss. There are situations where it's really good and it saves your Heine, and there are times where it kind of just doesn't do anything. It doesn't have any great targets in certain matchups, certain games, but kind of weird. I don't know. It's definitely something to keep in mind. I guess if we see formats where like this card picks up play, I feel like our formats have been like so diverse that like you didn't feel comfortable matchup wise, like because a lot of matchups are playing different tech cards. Not every matchup's playing the exact same tech cards. And so this card is a little bit weird that way, but still really interesting. Really, really interesting to see that. But I guess it kind of falls in line with us putting called to 1 in our format, I guess, something similar to that. Then we get to the semi-limited list. They kind of really making use of the semi-limited list here. First off, we have 2 cards from the Brave Token engine going from 3 to 2. We see Rite of Aramasia and Aquamancer of the Sanctuary going from 3 to 2. This isn't the biggest deal, but I mean, when you think about it mathematically, you're playing what? At least, don't you play 2 bricks? You play Journey and the Griffin. I think those are like the mandatory 2 bricks. So if you're playing those, you already like are playing a 6 to 2 ratio, right? 6 starters, right? 3 Aquamancer, 3 Rite, and then you have the 2 bricks. If you're not playing Draco back, so it could be 3 bricks. But now you're playing 4 starters for the engine, 4, engine cards, and 2 bricks. So like now you're getting closer to that question of like, is it worth it? Is it worth playing the bricks to be playing these? I mean, listen, the bricks aren't the worst thing in the world. Griffin's still actually a really easy extender that jumps on the board and can be used for, Verte plays or whatever else. I mean, I'm not necessarily talking about the OCG because I don't know what exactly they're making off of Verte now, but definitely something worth noting. This is big, and especially since Prank Kids and Phantom Knights were 2 of the biggest competitive threats that were making use of this engine because it just gave them so much protection, so much ability to just like work under interruptions. So good. Now we see combined with the Torn Scales and combined with Fusion Destiny, Prank Kids take like, particularly Prank Kids take like a pretty sizable hit here. Which is good because if we look at Royal Kings, we'll look at the Royal Kings after this, and we'll look at like where their current meta has been over the last couple weeks. Anyway, moving on, we have Altergeist Multifear going from 1 to 2. This is fine. We saw this happen in the TCG. This is he's already at 3 now in the TCG. Doesn't make too much difference. I mean, Altergeist seems to be a pretty competent deck right now. It's a trap deck, but they've got some pieces that we now Pukari and the other Link 4, so they actually have some new tools for us. But it's a cool deck. I mean, it's a trap deck, but it's fine. It's not taking over the game anytime soon, so I think that's fine. Then we have Sword Soul Emergence going from unlimited to semi-limited as well. So 3 to 2 for this card. Sword Soul's been performing pretty well in the OCG, so this is just a simple little hit. The deck's still pretty new for them. They don't want to like destroy it. They already lost the Fusion Destiny package, so that took away some power to a good amount of the players that were playing it in their builds. So now you just take a little bit of consistency away because the deck can be a little bricky. If you don't see Moye, or a card that gets you to Moye, and I think you play 9 copies usually, like 3 of itself, 3 of this card, and 3 of the Ecclesia, right? So this goes you from 9 to 8, and then if they lower down to 1 even after this, or hit Ecclesia or something, I don't know, then obviously you're just taking more and more consistency away. They might need to lean more on the 10E package, more so than ever before, but we'll obviously have to see where that goes. And the last movement here is a really interesting one. This is Metaverse moving from 1 to 2. I would love to see this. I mean, you guys know I love Lair of Darkness, and this card being at 2 would be so helpful in Lair because it means your Liliths and your Trap Tricks would actually get you to Lair of Darkness, and sometimes you can lose duels because you just don't draw a Lair because all you really can afford to play is like hard copies of Lair, right? Like, because if you play too many hard copies, you just draw 3 copies of Lair and you lose the duel, right? And you don't want to, so you want to see 1, but exactly no more than 1. But having Metaverse means that a lot of our utility cards that fetch traps would be so much better at just helping us get there. And that would be really cool. So Metaverse is really interesting. The main difference that Metaverse can even be at 2 in their format is that they have Mystic Mine banned, I believe, and I wish that would happen. I really hate the way the kind of gameplay Mystic Mine puts us through. I know sometimes in certain formats it's a necessary evil, but still, I personally just don't like the card and the way it works, so whatever. And the last little section here we have is our Unlimits, everything coming off the ban list. all these cards were already at semi-limited, so they were just at 2 copies, which means I think they were just kind of in the process of coming off the list already. You've got Skull Crobat Joker, totally fine. I don't think that's a huge deal. Soul Eating Oviraptor. I don't know what the rest of their Dino ban list looks like. Do they have Misk at 1 in on their list? Because I think if Misk is at 1, the Dino package is already fragile enough and doesn't have like the durability to like really be too scared about having Oviraptor at 3. So I think that's totally fine. Red Eyes MD, I believe he has the errata as well in the OCG, so he should be fine to come back at 3 as well. And then Scapegoat's card I've been talking about for actually like almost a year now. Every time I do like, oh, these cards can come off the ban list type video, Scapegoat's something I always think about. I mean, I think it's way too slow. We have so many negates and stuff, and like, I don't know, I think it's fine. I think it could be pretty good in certain like control-y decks that don't put a lot of monsters on the field and give you the zones to play around with the Scapegoat type card, but I don't think it's like breaking the format or anything. So I think it'd be cool, and I think it makes sense. So that, and then real quick, let's take a look at the OCG's format. This is the most recent post from Road to the King from like 2 days ago on their recent metagame pie chart. You have Phantom Knights, by far the best deck in the format right now. A lot of them playing the Brave Token engine and Destiny Hero package. Both of those, well, you can still technically play the Brave engine, but you have to be, like I said, you have to question whether or not it's worth it, brick to engine ratio. And then Destiny Hero just not even being playable in that archetype anymore because you can't do the Scythe Lock like super easy in the deck to like setting that up. So that's nice as well. So yeah, I'm sure we'll see a dip in this. I don't think the deck's dead, right? The only thing that's like at the core that got hit was Torn Scales. But even being at 1, the deck has pretty easy access to like all of its cards. So I still think it's a pretty good engine. We'll just have to see if they can make use of something else. Next up is Eldritch. Eldritch is the second most popular deck, and one other new thing from the Eldritch stuff, or some of their other stuff, is that you see Branded being splashed into their format a little bit. It's a little bit further down, but that may be because it's new. It is very new for them. So we'll see, right? Eldritch having a bunch of different variants. Drytron still hanging around at the top. Fluandery is doing well for them. They also have the new spells. They're a little bit more consistent than our version is right now. Sword Soul, obviously you can't play Destiny Hero Sword Soul anymore, so you're stuck to like Tenyi Pure or like, I don't know, weird Yang Zing variants. I've seen some cool Yang Zing decks from there. And then the other cool thing that I feel like I might as well mention before we go here, Branded Despia. This card, this deck's still being pretty decently represented here. I mean, what is this? They're the 6th most represented deck here. That's not too bad. That's actually pretty good. But some of them were playing Destiny Hero, which they can't do anymore. But normally it's like Branded Despia, maybe Shadal, maybe Invoked in there. It's just like a good fusion engine, just amalgamation deck. And I think that could hold up pretty decently. So we'll see. Very cool stuff. Can't wait to see where their format goes with Phantom Knights dropping off there, because if Phantom Knights drop off, maybe where the format goes, Eldritch isn't as good. It just depends. Eldritch is very format dependent. So we'll see where they go. Very cool stuff nonetheless. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this list, what you think it might have to do with our list coming in here. We're about a month away. I'll probably be making some videos talking about what I want to see there, because we are actually in a pretty good spot. Definitely not a perfect spot, but I overall enjoy the format. It's pretty diverse, but there are a couple things, of course, that we can always improve on. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you haven't and you want to see what comes with that stuff, and I will see you all in the next video. Bruce.